Hey guys, Jody Holland here. We're going to be talking about two basic things today. The first thing is, what is the journey that you go through to become the very best version of yourself? And I'll talk about the 4 phases of the hero's journey, how to be the hero of your own life. Then we're going to talk about all of the different aspects that center around how you write your story the way that you want to. We always find our strength. We always find our ability to succeed when we figure out what our story is going to be. So I want to start with the hero's journey. I think in drama, there are 3 basic things that we deal with, and we will spend a little bit of time in each one of these drama zones. Ideally, you don't spend very much time, though. The first is being a victim. We never find our strength when we're looking for other people to blame for who we are or where we are in life. I remember going through a conference in Dallas, Texas, back in 2002, and the speaker was up on stage and he said, "You are who you are and where you are because you made the choices to be there." And I remember thinking, I don't like you. I didn't like the guy at all at that time because I was thinking, I don't like where I'm at. It was so much easier in that moment to try to find somebody to blame. Well, 9/11 happened and that hurt the training business and this other thing happened and my life's just not going the way that it's supposed to go. I became very frustrated as a victim. The second drama zone that we can get into is trying to be the villain. A lot of times we don't want to be the victim or we don't want to deal with the things that we're dealing with. So we start looking for ways that we can attack other people. The villain gets their energy by bringing other people down, not by building other people up. When we realize we're in that villain state is when we're being mean to other people or when we're going out of our way to try to make somebody else fail just so that we feel significant. And you see that sabotage happen a lot in businesses of, oh, I worked really hard and now somebody else is in charge, but I know they're going to need me. I know they're going to have to come back to me. So that villainhood starts with, I need you to notice that I am better than the way I actually see myself. Because if we're really confident in self, we don't need other people to be drugged down. We just want to build others up. So you get out of that villainhood. The third one that you play is trying to be a hero to other people. Sometimes we try to save other people. We try to make them, overcome an obstacle that maybe they're not ready to overcome. When we're playing the hero to others, what we're really doing is we're putting ourselves in this place that says, I need you to need me, which means I need you to be a victim. The hero needs a victim. The villain needs a victim. Now, on the opposite of that, the victim needs both a hero and a villain. They want somebody to blame and somebody to save them. So all 3 of those tend to work together, but we've played each of those roles at different times in our life. To get out of being the villain, you have to be an empathetic driver. You have to try to see things from the other person's view and try to drive them out of that situation. You can't make them, but you can guide them out of the situation. To get out of being a hero, you have to be a caring respecter. Now, caring respecter, I care deeply about you and I respect that you have the ability to solve this problem on your own. I just want to be your guide. I don't want to be in charge of you. The third one, getting out of victimhood, I believe that's the most difficult one. To get out of being a victim, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to move yourself from this place of, oh, poor, pitiful me, to I can't do everything, but I can do something. You have to become a person of action, and you have to admit that you made a series of choices that put you in the place that you're in order to get out of that victimhood. To get out of victimhood, I can tell you, you've got to just kill the ego. The ego is the one thing that will prevent you from ever moving forward in your journey. So I start with the drama zones that you might deal with to help you understand that everybody looks for a guide in their life. The guide is the individual that comes into your life that doesn't want to save you and doesn't want to belittle you. They also are not a victim, but they've been through something. They've dealt with their own struggles or their own dramas in their life. And now they're there to help you understand what you have to do to move your life in the right direction. The greatest power, the greatest strength that any of us have is the strength of choice. Your ability to choose your own direction is your ability to control your life. In the hero's journey, there are 4 basic stages that we go through. The first is the start. Life is natural, it's normal, it's the way things are supposed to be. When we are in this stage, we don't know what's coming. In my mind, I think pre-pandemic or pre-9/11, there were several different crashes that I've experienced since I went into business in 1999. In each one of those cases, everything was clicking along just like it was supposed to. And then all of a sudden, the shakeup. The shakeup is when the world goes crazy, when things don't go in the right direction, when we don't know exactly what we're supposed to do. We realize the old world, what we believed was true, that is actually the lie. And once we recognize the lie for what it was, that life was never going to have shakeups in it, that everything was supposed to work exactly like we had envisioned it, then we have an option. We get pulled into the drama. Every time the shakeup happens, this is our choice. We either look for somebody to save us, look for somebody to blame, we play that victim role, or we look for other people to save or other people to hurt in order to change our perspective of self. Your strength is in owning who you are and what you do next. During the shakeup, during that knockdown, you begin looking around for the wisdom that is needed to move yourself in a better direction. So I think that's when we move into what would be the refinement zone in the hero's journey. This is the learning and the growth and the pain that we go through. Viktor Frankl, in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, talked about the fact that we have to have a redemptive perspective on the sacrifices or the suffering that we go through. When we have that right perspective, we recognize that we are giving up something now to get something much better later. This would be the discipline that we go through in our businesses or our organizations to accomplish what it is that we want to accomplish. Maybe we don't like doing the marketing, or maybe we don't like doing the sales, but we do like providing this amazing thing that we provide. You having the opportunity to fulfill your mission and your vision for your organization, that's going to be predicated on whether or not you can grow at the level you need to grow. I've heard it said over and over again that the reason you set goals isn't for what you get from the goal. The reason you set goals and the reason you set big ones is for who you become in achieving that goal. Our refinement is the changing of self, the strengthening of self. When I first started lifting weights at about 15 years old, I could not lift much. I went to the gym and the coach was like, all right, if you're going to play football, you got to bench press at least 135. And I couldn't even once. And he's like, you can't work out with less than that. Well, that did me no good. I couldn't lift it one time. So I basically took the bar, dropped it on my chest, stayed there for a couple of minutes till somebody felt sorry for me. They lifted it off and put it back up. That summer, though, my dad gave me some great advice. He was my guide in that exercise program. He said, you have to go down to a weight that is manageable to you, and then you have to make your muscles struggle until you build up to a better weight. So over that summer, I went down, I think I started at about 105 pounds, and I worked out with 105 pounds, and I did it every other day, just strengthening my chest and my triceps and getting my balance better and just getting stronger. By the end of that summer, I could work out with 135 pounds, which is what the coach believed should have been the minimum for anybody that was going to play that sport. I needed a guide. During the refinement stage, you don't learn and you don't grow until you seek wisdom. Wisdom can be in books. Wisdom can be in seminars, in podcasts, in audio books. It could be in people mentoring you or guiding you in the direction that you want to go. But you need somebody that has been there and done that, or somebody that's got a better perspective that can help you through the struggle or the suffering. There is redemptive perspective in the suffering. When we sacrifice, it's to move our lives forward. And when we sacrifice our ego, a lot of times it's to move our organizations in that right direction. But if we don't go through the refinement, we don't strengthen ourselves. And if we don't strengthen ourselves, we never hit phase 4 on the hero's journey, which is the triumphant return. To return back to life, to have the capacity to lift more, to do more, to accomplish more, to have a superpower, that's what every great story is about. I mean, you think about the story of Iron Man, and I know this is a movie, But stick with me here. When Tony Stark realizes that his weapons in Iron Man 1 are being used for the wrong purposes, and when he is captured and has to suffer and struggle and is injured and has to recover, he figures out one of his greatest inventions, and that was that arc reactor that was a tiny arc reactor that he put in his chest that kept everything away from his heart so that he wouldn't die from the shrapnel from his own explosives. He then builds the Iron Man suit, the 1.0 version, and when he goes back home, when he escapes from that, he builds the next one, and that creates a legacy. Nobody would choose to get blown up, but in every circumstance, there is a seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. So every setback we face, if we face that shakeup or that setback, looking for a guide and looking for the wisdom, then we refine. Once we are refined, that moves us to that triumphant return, and we have something that we can offer that makes the world a better place. So I would challenge you, first off, think about when things were normal, then they went sideways, then you learned something and got better, then you came back and had more to offer the world, and then you went back and did it again and again and again. You start to recognize everything in your life has been this cycle. The only time you should play the hero, and you should play it often, but the only time you should play the hero is in your own story. We are all designed to be the hero of our own journey. And if we embrace that hero factor of self, then one day we get to be the guide for somebody else who's going through a struggle that we've already been through, that we can help them overcome. I think that in our struggle, that's when we find our hidden strength. In our struggle, that's when we find what it is that our purpose is. I heard one of my friends, a guy named Mark, say, in our mess is always our message. And so we think about the messes that we've been in and the messages that we can give. Those two things are really, really powerful. And I want to introduce you to one other theory right now, and that's what's called the self-concept theory. Go back to the 1960s and Carl Rogers and humanistic psychology. They were trying to help us understand that whatever image you have of yourself, that becomes the actions that you take. So if you see yourself as a hero of your own story, you take the right actions. But if you see yourself as someone who never wins, if you see yourself as a failure in your own story, then you don't get to move in the right direction. We were designed to be the hero of our own story. We were never designed to be failures, but we were designed to fail. Failing is an event. It's the shakeup, and it is a required part of the story. So as we write our story and we picture this future that we want to create, we have to first accept ourselves for the struggles that we've been through. I am an imperfect human, the same as every one of you that are watching this or listening to this right now. Self-acceptance doesn't mean limitation. Self-acceptance means I accept what I've been through, and I will use those experiences to make myself better. Self-acceptance means I recognize my backstory. That is all it means. So you recognize your backstory, and you can either make the decision once you recognize the story, am I going to be tethered to my past, or am I going to be propelled towards my future? If you're tethered to your past, you're always looking for a way to justify what went wrong, who to blame, and who should have saved you. But if you recognize as self-acceptance of the past and use it as a way to propel yourself to the future, you're going, what was it that I went through? And you look at the steps that you followed that got you to the wrong outcome. Then you ask a second question. At what point could I have done something different that would have gotten me the outcome that I wanted? And then the final step, the final question is, what will I do next time? In those three questions, number one is understanding the process you followed that got the wrong outcome. Number two is understanding that you did make choices. And number three is understanding you can make new ones because you already know how to make decisions. So can you walk me through what happened? Ask yourself that question. At what point could I have done it different? What will I do next time? That creates an internal accountability. It pushes you to be the guide and the hero in your own story. It refines you. It helps you learn and grow, and it propels you to the future. Once you have learned the lesson that you need to learn, that's when you get the opportunity for the triumphant return. So very quickly, we talked about the vision of your future. You're propelled to that future, whatever you can imagine. Once you accept the lessons you've learned in the past, we talked about the hero's journey. I want to make two more points. One point is that vision of the future at a subconscious level has to be present tense. So whatever you paint in your mind as the picture of where you want to go and what you want to accomplish, I want you to imagine today is, pick a date in the future. Here are the things that I have accomplished. Here's what I am like. Here's what my life is like. So what have you accomplished? What do you like? What is your life like? And if you'll define those things, you get to live an incredible life. Then ask yourself the question in your mind, what did I do that got me to this place? You then look for your 3 to 5 daily habits that push you in the right direction and help you accomplish the life that you want to. So the hero's journey is the start, the shakeup, the refinement, the return. During the shakeup, you have to choose what part of drama you're going to play or whether you're going to be the hero of your own story. Are you going to look for somebody to blame or somebody to save you? Are you going to be the victim? Or are you going to say, I made a series of choices that got me here. I'm going to learn my lessons and I'm going to get out of this. That decision moves you to the refinement zone. What did I do to get here? At what point could I have done it different? What will I do next time? That puts you in this place of learning and growing, and seek wisdom in books and people and mentors, wherever you can find it. And then what you have learned, bring it back to the world and make the world a better place. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. That's the hero's journey, and the vision of the future by self-acceptance creates the story of you. You have amazing strength, but your strength lies, again, in one thing. It's the power to choose who you're going to be. I'm Jody Holland. See you next time.